bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
My name is Kevin James. I'm the writer and director of The Creed, one of the short horror films shown at NYC Horror Film Festival. Basically, a few years back, I was toying with this idea of doing a humility-based horror comedy, kind of in the vein of Christine, the Stephen King story. But my goal was to make it something very mundane and sort of generational, and it eventually became a story about embarrassing music taste, the adolescent years of junior high. And Creed was sort of the perfect band to encapsulate that idea. They have just enough of that mythic quality in their title, and they have a little bit of goth to them. So, and the title sells itself, The Creed. Like, it sounds like a horror film, and if you go in not knowing it's about that band, it has a little extra punch, I feel, in the first 5 minutes. You know, and on the subject of IP, intellectual property, you know, we had to tiptoe around certain things. We couldn't, you know, get too blunt with how much we satirized the band and everything. We had a few people working on the music end of the movie who had to create original music. We initially showed the film to a professor of comm law and ethics to see what lines we could and couldn't cross, and we learned early on what we could satirize, what would be considered, you know, too badgering, like, you know, too insulting. And we think the movie actually has a message that isn't just, you know, 20 minutes of making fun of the band. The movie itself is less about making fun of Creed or these embarrassing bands we grew up with, and more about making fun of the borderline hipster hypocrisy we carry. Like I said before, it's a movie all about humility, and that goes a long way, I feel, in horror and comedy, and it's kind of the glue that holds the movie together. The idea for the movie was hovering around for about 3 years. When we finally got our budget together and our actors and our crew, we shot over the course of 6 days. There's a lot of scene changes in it for 20 minutes. You know, we really wanted to go through a lot of different sets. We didn't want to be stuck in one setting too long. We wanted to keep people's attention, and our ultimate goal was to make it as entertaining as it was message written. We didn't just want it to be, you know, a bunch of gags or too heavy on a story, too heavy on a message. We really wanted people to feel like they were getting their money's worth out of a 20-minute movie when they watched it. We're a Boston-based team. I'm right from the heart of Massachusetts, grew up in the South Shore. We filmed this all over Massachusetts. We filmed a bit down in New Bedford in the South Shore, some of it up in Fitchburg, which is sort of northwest, but the whole thing was in Massachusetts. We have 1 or 2 more festivals we're waiting to hear back from, but ultimately we'd like in a few months to have the movie available online for free for people to see. The movie did better than we anticipated. We've had it screened at about a dozen festivals at this point, so hopefully that leads to bigger and better things. Our goal is to next do a short that's probably about half as long, and then a feature, somewhere in the 80-90 minute variety. The double-edged sword of working in short films is that you have lower budgets, so it's easier to put a movie together. If you make mistakes, they're easier to fix than a feature. It takes less pre-production. But they're harder to sell. You can get them into more festivals the shorter your film is. You can get in front of more eyes. But ultimately, the goal, I feel, with a short movie is to get in front of people and not necessarily make money. Even Pixar can't really make a lot of money off their short films. They have to attach them to features. So we're going to basically use The Creed as, you know, sort of a calling card, you know, to get in front of as many people as we can and hopefully build trust and get an audience who's hungry for our next project. We originally premiered The Creed back in Salem, Massachusetts, in Cinema Salem, but this is our New York premiere, and the reception we've gotten has been amazing. The audience was so on board for it. It was really flattering, and you know, it absolutely felt like home once the movie wrapped up and we saw how people were interacting with it. New York City Horror Fest was just above and beyond my expectations. It was great coming out here to Tribeca.
Let the bodies hit the floor.